This is the Last Call of Fantasy Football. Welcome to the show. Kyle and Justin here as always. What? What are you laughing at?
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. It's week 2. I'm
Welcome
ready
to
to go.
the show. Welcome to the show.
Ready to go.
Welcome to the show.
But you can't.
Welcome to the show.
That's the new audio clip of our new
Everybody's clicked off now.
intro. Welcome to the show.
I said, welcome to the show. Goodbye.
Yeah. Well, we're still here, and we're still going to do it. So we're here for first episode of week 2? No, second episode of week 2, because our Monday night recap.
Easy.
Yeah, so this
We're
is...
grinding here.
Today is November 11th. Shout out...
Never
9/11.
forget.
I was going to say shout out 9/11, but I don't think that's the right...
Shout out 9/11, bro.
Oh, man. We're off to a great start today. Anyways, today is November 11th. We have a football game tomorrow. We're into the season. We got football games 3 to 4 days of the week.
Football.
Yeah, it felt weird yesterday. It felt really weird turning on the
It did
TV.
kind of feel
Like,
weird because we had football for 4-5 days in a row.
I mean, if you're a college football watcher, you had Thursday,
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, that was
So,
awesome.
and now we're back to the slums. But guess what? Tomorrow's Thursday. We got a hell of a game. We've got 3 new segments, in-season segments for you guys, and a couple of it. We'll get into it later, but we're going to start with our Thursday night preview. It's a hell of a game, which is not normal for Thursday night games. Normally they all suck. But we got the Bills at Dolphins tomorrow, sorry. That's probably one of my favorite matchups of the week, and we get it on Thursday. So we're kicking the week off right.
I was gonna put it in our one of our new segments, but we're gonna talk about it here.
What, the Dolphins?
Sorry, I completely blinked when I was saying during that sentence, so excuse me.
Well, it's a very simple concept we're going to talk about. It's the Bills
We're
at
gonna
the
talk
Dolphins.
about football, Bills, Dolphins now.
Yes, what he said. Bills Dolphins. Every single starter in this game is probably starting in your lineup, or not in your your
Maybe
lineup.
not Keon Coleman, but if he's not starting your lineup,
That's true.
put him in your lineup.
Yeah,
Because
just
me and Kyle have been saying, guaranteed, put it on DraftKings, Sports Duel, whatever the fuck you bet on. He's getting a touchdown this game.
yeah, first NFL touchdown for Keon Coleman this week. He had a promising. We talked about it on Monday, but he had a promising week 1. Led the team in target share.
Yeah, 8 targets.
These two teams, they go at it. It never seems to be a defensive battle, and I think maybe the Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins' defense is for sure better than the Bills, but
Yes.
I think that this matchup is just primed for a lot of points, and Mostert's out. So hopefully you planned accordingly, but most likely you didn't because he was announced out today after waivers ran. So Jeff Wilson, if you're in a pinch, maybe you had Mostert and you didn't have anyone on your bench to slot into that role. Jeff Wilson, every time he seems to get the work, he's a talented guy and he does fine for you. So obviously you're starting Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and that's
Really?
it. Oh, really? Yeah, something
Well,
controversial.
I don't know. Maybe not.
There's 0% chance of.
I don't know. Maybe the corner that I can't name because I don't know any of the Bills' defensive players now that they got rid of every single one of them. But he might be locked down on Tyreek. I don't know.
Nah, Damar Hamlin's gonna take the.
Oh yeah, DeMar Hamlin is starting.
Yeah, he's playing safety. He's definitely.
He's starting. If he's starting this week, bet the house on Tyreek 300 yards and 5 touchdowns.
If anyone ever scored 300 yards, got 300 yards and 5 touchdowns, I don't know how it would contain myself.
Hey man,
They've gotten close.
Will Snead
No.
or no? Will Fuller. Will Fuller was close one year.
No, who was
I
it?
think he had close to 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
It was a Chiefs running back who.
Damian Williams.
No. It was a long time ago. Well, Jerry Rice had 65.5 point, 225 total yards, 13 catches, 5 touchdowns. Oh, it was Clinton Portis. That's who it was. Clinton Portis. I got to see what this was because we were talking it'd be nuts. 300 total yards or 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. Who is this? Clinton.
The yardage
Portis.
alone would be 30 points.
He scored 2 rushing touchdowns in the first half. Okay, so he finished the game with 218 rushing yards, 5 rushing touchdowns, and 36 receiving yards. So about 250 and 5. So if someone could get 305, we'd be in business. All right. And we lost Justin again. Well, we're going to keep this thing going. We got to figure this out. Justin had internet issues, so kicks him off and adds me on my crappy webcam as default over there. But we'll see if he joins back. And he's back. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. I was just saying that everyone else in the Bills, anyone interesting? James Cook in your lineup? Anyone else?
Oh, for sure. James Cook, well, I just want to say I'm very interested in James Cook this week. If you haven't, just expect greatness.
I know. I almost put him in my my guarantee segments here down the line.
I honestly should have,
But Kincaid, look for a bounce back. I think, we're still figuring out this team, except Keon Coleman in his first touchdown because that is going to happen. There's no need to figure that out anymore. But that's it.
Already happened.
Thursday, it's pretty straightforward. We are going to be tuning in, and we're actually recording Thursday after the game, tomorrow after the game, to get ready for the weekend. So we'll kick us off here. Last call for tough calls. Our newest segment we're going to kick off. Essentially, it's start-sit decisions, except not necessarily start this person or sit this person. It's comparing comparable situations and who do we think has the edge. If you have either of these players, it's kind of a vote of confidence for them or who might get the slight edge. So I guess I'll kick it off with my first matchup here. Mm-hmm. I've got Brian Robinson Jr., running back for the Commanders, against the Giants, or Najee Harris against the Broncos. So for some context, Brian Robinson Jr. was 12 for 40 and 1 on the ground and caught 3 of his 4 targets for 49 yards. So he was involved with the passing game. He wasn't super efficient on the ground, but enough to be involved in
yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah. And then Najee Harris, on the other hand, was 20 for 70 and no rushing touchdowns and caught his 1 of 2 targets for 9 yards. So I don't think Najee is going to get the passing work that Brian Robinson will, but Najee got 20 carries to his 18. How much of that do we think was the game script against the Falcons with Justin Fields at quarterback, Jaylen Warren coming back from the injury? They both had similar finishes if you take away the touchdown, like it's usage-wise. So who do we think?
I like Brian Robinson. Only because I think
gashed by Kenneth Walker in the run game last week, and the Giants got gashed by Aaron Jones. So think about their matchup.
So you said Brian Robinson versus the Broncos?
No, Brian Robinson against the Giants or Najee against the Broncos.
Oh, yeah. Brian Robinson all day. For one, the Broncos defense, although Kenneth Walker, he did well, he was stuffed pretty much the whole first half of that game. He was not getting any yardage. He had I'm on my team. I was watching him closely. Maybe 10 yards in the first half or something like that.
I knew it was way better in the second half, but maybe
it was bad to start. I think the only reason that he was able to find success against the Broncos because they got tired. They were on the field for so much of that game.
They actually were.
And anytime that happens, and you've got a barreling Kenneth Walker, it
just breaks down.
Yeah, you're just gonna break down, and he's gonna win every time. So, I like Brian Robinson for many reasons. One of them being that I think the Broncos defense is still really good.
Okay.
The Giants defense sucks. And I just think Brian Robinson is, at this point, a better running back. He's not like great, but he gets the job done.
Yeah, I compared these two because they are both going against defenses that got gashed by the run last
Yeah.
week. Um, but in two different situations, Brian Robinson might be a little bit more efficient, but also in the receiving game and scoring opportunities. But Najee is the more well considered workhorse back. So what would you rather have? And I agree, Brian
Yeah.
Robinson Jr. I think is just a better play at this point. If you got Najee, you're probably starting him anyways, and it is a good start. But I give the slight edge to Mr. Booty Shot. All right,
Oh yeah.
who you got, Justin?
I have McLaurin versus Stephon Diggs.
Okay, so same
Um,
matchup. So Terry McLaurin against uh, the Giants
the
and the
Giants, and
Texans against
then
the Bears.
yep. Um, yeah. I mean, I think McLaurin. I think this whole offense of the Commanders are gonna have a bounce back week. I think Jaden Daniels is gonna get some rhythm going. He's gonna get the ball to his receivers. I mean, he only got 4 targets to McLaurin last week, and that seems concerning, but I'm not worried. He's the number one for this team by far. They traded away Jahan Dotson, just proving that. And they're going to let him throw the ball more and more and more and more. And he's going to get more and more comfortable. It's not like um, Lamar Jackson in college actually had the issue of throwing. Obviously, like, he didn't have an issue with throwing, but he was not as prolific as Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is not just a running quarterback. He's great at running, but he threw for 50 touchdowns in college. He's a prolific passer as well, and he's going to get his feet under him. So Stephon Diggs, on the other hand, I think he got saved by his touchdowns, and I think that's going to be kind of his MO every single week is if he doesn't get saved by his touchdowns, you're going to be looking at maybe 60 yards. Maybe he gets to 100 yards at some point in the season, but there's just too many mouths to feed, and he's the third on the totem pole.
Well, what you're just so you already have your mind made up at who that is. Like you would start Terry McLaurin over Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I misunderstand the segment?
I mean, you started off the situation being great for McLaurin and terrible for Diggs. Like essentially,
Yeah. Well, I picked 2 players, and I'm telling you which one I would pick.
okay. Um, I would rather start Diggs purely for the touchdown potential. I mean, the
Yeah.
someone's going to score points against the Giants. Like they're going to get scored on, but I
But but you don't think that so okay. If anybody's scoring a passing touchdown on the Commanders, it's like a 70% chance it's McLaurin versus McLaurin or Ertz. And on
I
the
think you have to
Houston side of the
include.
ball, you've got Nico Collins, you've got Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Schultz, Joe Mixon. There's so many more people that the touchdowns could go to.
I see a passing touchdown coming to Terry McLaurin the same likelihood that it goes to Eckler or Robinson as well from the running backs.
Yeah, probably more.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I
Yeah.
I think it I guess it is kind of tough. I just it's hard to go against a guy who was targeted twice in the end zone. He had a terrible average depth of target in
Yeah.
air yards, but who was targeted in the red zone to get those touchdowns versus a guy who caught what 1 pass for 14 yards. It's tough to go against that week
No,
one,
no,
but
no. He got 2 passes, but
well,
yeah.
1 for 14 I would take over 2 for 14.
I'm just saying,
I
he's
got
the
you.
one for the team. Diggs is the third, so
I got you.
I'll take the bet.
Which that's going to be tough for. I mean, someone could have that decision. They could have drafted both
For
those
sure.
receivers. So, glad we could split it down the middle of the field for everyone, as we typically like to do.
We could give you guys no clarity on that.
Yeah, that's not why
Yeah.
we're here. We're here to talk shit and have fun. Anyways,
Yep.
um, Jameson Williams against Tampa Bay or Chris Godwin against Detroit. Jameson Williams,
James Williams.
hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out.
No, no one hear you.
No,
I have no ears.
you're gonna hear me out and you're gonna like it because Jameson Williams. Everyone watched the Sunday night game. Great game, by the way. He was nine targets, 5 receptions for 121 and 1. And they even gave him a rushing attempt for 12 yards. But Chris Godwin was 8 targets, 8 receptions, 83 yards and a touchdown. It targeted 8 times, caught all 8 passes, 83 yards and the score. I mean, that involvement, the efficiency, yes, the Commanders' defense does not look to be good. But Chris Godwin's someone who's done this before. Jameson Williams has never done this before. So the reason I put these two together, it's like, what do you think? Because Chris Godwin, I feel like, has a much higher floor, especially if he's looked or if he's back to playing in the slot and playing where he was good in the past. And Jameson Williams might not get that bomb, stop and go route. Where do we think?
I feel like they're on two separate ends of the spectrum where Chris Godwin, it's been so long since he's been even fantasy relevant that he's in a stage where, yeah, okay, he had a good game last game, but he is in prove it territory for me. He just has to prove it for a while for me to be confident in starting him. Jameson Williams just proved it. He's a young player who's been trending, but he's a young player who's been trending upwards. And it's not just that he had a good game; it's that he was on the field the entire game. And similar to like Jaden Reed or Deebo Samuel, they just want to give him the ball, and they're manufacturing touches for Jameson Williams.
I'm happy to start both of these guys this week. That's why this is such a tough call for me because, and I don't know if you noticed, but they're in the same game. They're playing each other. So but think about the defenses as well. Jameson Williams against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's defense looked great. Detroit's defense looked pretty damn good as well, aside from letting Cooper Kupp get the ball a million times in the passing game. So I think it's a tough call. I think Jameson Williams provides you an upside. Chris Godwin does not. So that's going to...
Yeah.
I don't know.
If we're talking defenses against defense, too, like, I do think that the Lions are better at covering, like, over the middle of the field. Yeah. Like, maybe their outside routes are kind of... They get exposed. Obviously, Cooper Kupp exposed it, but...
You know what?
I feel like they have really solid linebackers.
I'm changing my mind. Chris Godwin, 100%. You know why?
Why?
Jameson Williams happens to have a great game when Sam Laporta does nothing and Amon-Ra does nothing. What happens when they get back to themselves and they have their normal involvement? Is that even available? Is 9 targets still there for Jameson Williams? I don't know. I think he needs to prove that they can both have
also
good games.
Came on this team and was supposed to be the one over Amon-Ra.
Yes, but okay, Devontae Adams.
So it's very possible that Jameson Williams is the one now. It's not like Amon-Ra has necessarily concreted himself.
Of course he has.
He's had 2 great seasons, I'll give you that. But look.
And a huge sack of money.
He's not flashy.
They're 2 completely different players.
Yes.
And that's fine. And I was actually talking to a buddy earlier today. I said, they can be in the same conversation like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They could. You have the bona fide superstar with a ton of money, Tyreek, comp to Amon-Ra, different player style, and obviously, but that situation the same. And then you have a highly drafted, speedster, deep threat receiver who can even get some rushing attempts in Jameson Williams and Jalen Waddle.
See, but that's the problem. I think if Jameson Williams is to hit like he was supposed to straight out of college, he will be the Tyreek Hill of the team,
which
and
is
Amon Ra would be the Waddle.
which that could be. But what I'm saying is for the purpose of this experiment, is they did nothing. Chris Godwin did this in a game where Mike Evans got
Yeah.
his, Jalen
The
McMillan
running
scored.
backs also just took over the game, and you're saying, Jameson Williams got some deep bombs.
Right. So I think Jameson Williams is more in the okay, you got me once. You have it in your toolbox to do this.
But
Now let
Tampa
me
Bay is notorious for getting torched by wide receivers.
Tampa Bay. Oh, I think that's
They're
some good
notorious
corners.
for it. That was the team to target last year for wide receivers.
All I'm saying is, man, and I like both of these. I'm happy to start them both, but my confidence in this tough call is Chris Godwin over James Williams. So
Okay.
we'll split it down the middle again.
We'll split it down again.
Yes. All right. Go ahead.
All right. I've got Brock Bowers versus Dalton Kincaid.
I love this one.
I like it too.
Because it's like yin and yang right there.
It's like the new hotness versus the pretty new hotness.
Well, like I like this one because it's Brock Bowers and Dalton Kincaid, both.
That's what
top,
I
said. I'm creating the title here. Brock Bowers, Dalton Kincaid. Perennial all-star, highly drafted, first tight end off the board 2 years in a row, tight ends. So like you can comp them on that alone. And you have a promising week 1 from Bowers, who finished with like 54 yards?
I believe it was 8 targets, 5 receptions for 54.
Yeah, and Dalton Kincaid laid a freaking stinker. But most of the options in Buffalo didn't really pan out. You know, Josh Allen spread the ball around. It was kind of a whole team effort. They both have a lot of competition in their receiving core. I mean, I say he has Devontae Adams, who's a target monster for Bowers, and then you've got the hodgepodge of receivers that are going to be targeted a ton throughout this game in Buffalo. So, who do you like more? I mean, who do the Raiders play this week? So it's what you call it, Brock Bowers against the Ravens. That could be a tough matchup, or Kincaid against the Dolphins. Personally,
I mean, that is true. We just saw Travis Kelce get locked down by the Ravens.
Yeah, I think this is. I think Bowers can have a great game. But I'm gonna lead the Kincaid side, even though I love me some Bowers. You know, I love me some Bowers, but tight end scored nothing last week, so who's going to be able to bounce back? Most of us can't afford another 2-point game from a tight end this week. So who is going to give you that bounce back performance? I think that I think the Cardinals last week were trying to eliminate Kincaid from the equation. I saw a couple posts and threads talking about the coverage they had, just eliminating him as an option. So I think that Kincaid still has a better chance to be the number 1 target on the Dolphins team, where these games are normally super high scoring versus a potential shutdown defense by the Ravens. So final stamp, Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah. I lean the Bowers. I think that Kincaid is prescriptive of. I think the Bills themselves are hurting Kincaid.
In what
way? I think the new offensive game plan is obviously getting James Cook more involved and running the ball and getting that part of the offense going. So I think that they are going to pull Kincaid in more than they had in the past, and they're going to use him to block, as a tight end does, instead of being out catching routes.
They got Dawson Knox for that. He'll be in there blocking.
But I think they're going to pull them both in. And I think he's just not that like they're just not going to use Kincaid anymore. I'm just saying like I think in a game he's going to get less opportunity than he did last season. And last season he wasn't even incredible. So
yeah, and I mean you also got to think about quarterback play as well. One has Josh Allen. Yeah. I mean that's just that's never going to change. I mean unless he gets hurt, knock on wood. Yeah. But I'm saying just that already gives him a leg up even just from the baseline. Doesn't matter who they're playing, whatever they're doing. Just the team is better, the quarterback's better. So I'll lean Kincaid to guess what? Split it right down the middle of the game. I don't know.
That one is close to me, though. I could go Kincaid as well. I just think it slightly leans Bowers, like for what I said.
And when I first saw that, I was like, well, I mean, we want to try and at least give, if it is a start situation for someone, if they happen to have both these players. I'm like, no one's gonna have both these players, but Bowers went late. You could have taken both Kincaid and Bowers. So
I could have on our draft. So
yeah. So I think most people will probably just stick with the one they drafted in the 4th round, 5th round, and let it ride. But
yeah,
at least you know
if you drafted Kincaid and you have Bowers on your bench, I would probably just still start Kincaid.
Well, so then you're on my side then.
But I think if you have Bowers and, for instance, I had Njoku and Bowers, I think you should feel super confident starting him this week because he's going to get the target share, obviously.
Yeah. All right.
He was the target leader of that team last week.
That is true. Tied for the same receptions as Devontae Adams, though. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. My final tough call, as we do here at Last Call Fantasy Football. Ladd McConkey, 1st-round rookie, against the Carolina Panthers, or Brian Thomas Jr., 1st-round rookie, against Cleveland. So, this one, again, put these two comps, 2 week 1 performances.
I feel like we're, again, going to disagree, but I feel like this is the one where you should agree with me.
I have...
I'm leaning McConkey. And obviously, Kyle literally has Brian Thomas, and I literally have McConkey on my team.
I'm putting my bias aside.
It's more so because of the matchup. The Browns are a tough matchup. They have a great defense. It didn't look like it last week, but they do. They have a good defense. And I view them very similarly in what they're going to do in the offense. So at that point, I'm just going matchup.
Yeah, I think Brian Thomas has more big play potential. That's just his archetype. Ladd McConkey, the game against Carolina, the Saints, I would say like the Saints torched them, but they did in all aspects of the game. It wasn't just like Derek Carr was the bomb touchdown to what's his name, Shaheed, but it's not like that passing offense is what beat them. The whole team just sucked. So I'm afraid.
Wait, what are you talking about?
The Saints against Panthers last week. I'm saying like the matchup. So like
McConkey. Neither of those players are on.
No, because McConkey's playing the Panthers this week. So I'm comparing what the Saints did to the Panthers.
Okay. I was so confused. Like, wait, what are you talking about?
I might have said that funny, but basically the passing attack didn't torch Carolina last week. The whole team just crumbled. So I'm afraid that a well-coached Chargers team that likes to run the ball, they might just make this a really short game and just run all over them.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll happen against Cleveland.
But I think they're going to let Justin Herbert do his thing and air it out to begin the game, get up very fast, very early, and then just run the ball the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That's what I predict.
And then Brian Thomas. So what do you think will be a closer game? Jags against the Browns or the Chargers against the Panthers?
I think Jags against the Browns is just going to be a nasty dogfight because I think both offenses are just not great. So I think it's going to be a slosh fest of both have pretty good defenses and mediocre offenses. So I think it'll be kind of low scoring, maybe like 21-23, something like that. But I mean, I think like Etienne and Brian Robinson or Brian Thomas, like they're going to get their points for sure.
Yeah. Like I said, I like both of these guys. I'm happy.
Like I said, I'm just looking at the matchup because I love Brian Thomas as well. I think he's gonna be great this game and this season.
Yeah, I guess I'll lead with McConkey. McConkey had more targets in the game than Brian Thomas Jr. did. Even though Brian Thomas had that glorious touchdown, McConkey a little swing route made a guy miss, walked into the end zone. So they're at least willing to do that with him. in his first NFL game towards the end zone in the red zone. So I'll lead Lad, but I think both these guys have tremendous upside. So there, we're not going to disagree on this one today.
All right, we have one more, so let's see if we can agree on this one. I doubt we will. All right, we got Jayden Reed versus Christopher Olave. We might agree on this one. I don't know how you feel about Olave, but
well, the Sounds play the Cant Boys. The Saints play the Cowboys. And who else did you say? Oh, and Jayden Reed. Oh, and the Packers.
Reed
The Packers play
the Colts.
Colts.
Yeah.
This
I think, being a Colts fan, it hurts me to say,
sucks.
these types of players eat the Colts alive.
The
Just
Jayden Reed type.
Yes. Just the explosive. Just what Jayden Reed is, they eat us alive, okay? Like, if we played the 49ers, Deebo Samuel would just clean house with us. And they have a good defense. They probably lock Ayuk down, and Deebo Samuel run all over us. So that's the only reason that I do. Obviously, Jayden Reed lost Jordan Love.
That's the huge part for me, because I've seen Malik Willis play football.
Yeah.
He sucks. Actually sucks. Derek Carr, not great, but that has a way, way, way worse matchup with the Cowboys. So
the only reason I lean Reed is because I do think that his rushing upside alone is probably going to carry him over the hump this week.
But I mean, what will they give him? 3 carries max?
I think with them not having a quarterback, I think they're going to have to involve him a lot more. Just kind of how they did with Deebo and Chris McCaffrey being out. I feel like they're going to do the same with Jordan Reed.
Jayden Reed, but yeah.
I think it limits his upside. I don't think he has the 30-point game in him. Maybe if he gets lucky and takes a screen to the house or something, but I think his floor is really safe this week, and that's something that Christopher Olave has kind of struggled with so far in his career. He'll just completely disappear for the entire game.
He does that. That sucks, because personally, I've been an Olave.
And I love Olave.
I like him as a player, but having just the aura surrounding his situation and the team and the Saints and everything he's done in the past is just so.
It just sucks that Derek Carr finally looks good again, and yet he still doesn't produce.
I'm telling you,
what the hell, man?
He didn't need to. He didn't need to in this game or in the past game. So that's why it's tough to gauge. I think we're gonna.
They had to score those points early, man.
I think we're gonna split this down the middle, only because I think the Saints can hold up against the Cowboys enough on defense to still be involved, still be throwing the ball, and will move the ball better. I'm telling you, I'm extremely worried about Malik Willis starting for the Packers. I think the Colts run away with this game easily because of that. I don't think he's good at all. I mean,
I think so too.
So
another podcast that we watched, that'll be unnamed here, said that the upset of the week will be the Packers over the Colts, and I think that's just blasphemy. I think Malik Willis is going to throw 4 interceptions.
Yeah. No, I think Malik Willis is looking at a stat line of 130 yards passing.
That'd be a lot for him.
Maybe a touchdown and 2 picks. I'm telling you, they're going to get crushed, and it's at the Packers though. So regardless, that's why I'm going to take the Saints, take Chris Olave, because I think he's an elite talent. He is going to have a way better defense to go against, but I just think. Yes, even Jayden Reed will be. Say they even give him 5 carries, and he gets 6 yards a pop. He gets 30
I think
yards
I am still a little hyped up from his Week 1 performance. That was incredible,
and it was. And I think there were so many other factors that led to that it's just let it play out for one game, because Jordan Love's gone for 3 to 4 weeks minimum. So let someone else make that decision to start him and see what Malik Willis has, because you could seriously be looking at a
Yeah. If
100%
you
dub.
have the option of not starting Reed, honestly, both these players, if you have the option of not starting them,
Everyone that has
I
Olave
probably would.
is not benched. They're starting Olave. Like
He went
second
pretty late
round,
this year, I think.
Olave was
Did
in
he
the
go in the
second round.
second round this year?
Yes. Olave
Oh
was
my
second
gosh.
back of the second.
It's criminal, man.
I
It's
know.
criminal that he's
People
still
are
going
blind.
that high.
People are blind. But so just because of that.
Well, if you drafted Olave, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was your fault, anyways. Plug in your lineup and endure your
We
suffering.
told you not to.
You deserve that. You actually deserve this.
It hurts me to say this because I really love Olave.
And I do too. So,
He's
anyways,
the new DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin.
except I think he's twice as good as those guys personally. But, anyways, we move on. That was last call for tough calls. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. We're gonna keep having some healthy discussions on these start sit situations as the year progresses. Maybe we'll just talk through some therapy, maybe some of our own players, how we're gonna be going about it in the future.
Maybe I'll just like to argue.
And that's I think the best part of this show, to be honest. Just seeing differences of opinion and being able to dunk on each other when one person's right and one person's wrong. So we move on.
Wait. Before we move on, do we want to make any bets? But between the 6 matchups we did, we want to make a bet.
Yeah, 100%.
Which one were we closest on, or most opposed on?
Probably
McLaurin
Jameson
and Diggs.
Oh, I forgot that one. No. Would you take me Jameson Williams or Chris Godwin? You were in on Jameson Williams. Uh-oh, I see the face. He likes my argument.
No, because I said I think Chris Godwin's going to have a good week. Diggs, I think he's going to suck.
All right, well, I'll take you on Diggs for that too.
All right,
Diggs
let's do it.
Diggs versus, I'm writing it down so we don't forget it, so we're going to update it. Diggs, McLaurin, bet. All right, I'm ready for it. We'll keep
Let's go.
We'll keep it updated. So, all right, can we move on now?
Yep.
All right, moving on.
Wait. No, just kidding.
This next segment, I call it Bet the House. We're betting the house.
Bet the house, baby.
Locks. So locks. So just could be a specific stat that's going to rear its head for a player, a certain situation, anything. This is my first one. The QB 15 in our point scoring last week. Kyler Murray will finish as a top 3 quarterback with 4 total touchdowns this week against the Rams. The Rams are going to struggle on offense. I feel they lost a ton of people to injury. They even lost the starting corner.
Oh my gosh.
They lost the starting corner.
They did.
I think that this was just a weird, fluky intro rookie first NFL game for Marvin Harrison. I think he turns it around. I think that Trey McBride is due for a bounce back game. The Rams defense doesn't scare me. I think this has potential to be high scoring. And Kyler Murray, he only had 162 pass yards, but the 1 pass touchdown. But he ran the ball 5 times for 57 yards. Like, if he gets into the end zone once on one of those, and he can get the tight end, get McBride a tutty, get Marv a tutty, get Greg Dortch a tutty. That I could see that being the stat line: 1-1-1-1, 1 rushing, 1 to both Dortch, McBride, and Harrison against a banged up
I like
Rams
it.
team.
I think, I want to say it was like 3 or 4 O-linemen they lost in the last game.
Two
So I could
IR,
very
I
easily
believe.
see this. Oh my gosh. I could very easily see this being a situation like the Broncos had last week, where, they have an okay defense, but they're going to be on the field so long because the offense isn't going to be able to do anything. They're just going to get beat down to the point to where the Cardinals are just going to have their way with them. So I like that.
Yeah, I'm in. So bet the house. I'm gonna see if our Hard Rock app has a player prop for Kyler Murray. 4 total touchdowns.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
I'll put my money where my mouth is.
While you're looking that up, I'll do the next one.
All right.
My bet the house guarantee of the week is Michael Pittman will have a bounce back game. Michael Pittman had 8 targets, 4 receptions for, I don't know, 40 yards, something like that. Um, the most important thing is that he had 8 targets. He was peppered early. Michael Pittman is the guy for Anthony Richardson. Alec Pierce, yeah, he had a decent amount of targets and he had the long bombs, but Michael Pittman's going to get it done. I would not freak out about the performance he had last week. He's got the targets. He's gonna make the catches. I think that he just kind of got locked down. That
But
was
can
just
Anthony
his game
Richardson
plan.
make the throws? That's
He's gonna be able to make some throws at some point for sure.
yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Jair Alexander hawking him down. I don't know.
Yeah, Jair doesn't really scare me as much. I would not say that Jair Alexander is a lockdown corner. He's actually very notorious for letting big plays pass him by.
Yeah,
He tried to lock down AJ Brown last week, and that didn't work out. So
I love seeing
I'm
that.
not really worried about him. He did cross my mind, but I think you see the big play potential with Anthony Richardson, and those big plays are going to come to Michael Pittman. It's not just going to go to Alec Pierce. I would expect it more for Pittman and Adam Mitchell.
You
than
would,
Pierce.
would you say, bet the house?
I would bet the house that Michael Pittman will have a bounce back game this week.
I love how you do the cop out, like a bounce back game, like that. You could spin that. Say he has like 15 targets. It's like, oh, he was open, he was there.
No. That's not a bounce back game.
I'm just saying. Anyways,
I was going to make a line, but I just feel like that's too.
just jerking your gherkin. All right. Bet the house that the Saints will get blown out, and Alvin Kamara will have an inefficient game against the Cowboys. I think the Saints benefited from an atrocity of a football team last week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that Alvin Kamara will be nearly as efficient as he was. I mean, he was 15 of 83, so nothing like crazy, but he had a great game, and also 5 catches of 5 targets for 27 yards as well. I think he'll have a similar amount of involvement. The efficiency will not be there. I think the Cowboys are for real. And I think
They definitely are.
I think that the Cowboys at home will just murk the Saints. So be careful with the fool's gold. If you can sell to someone, here's maybe a hot take. If you can sell to someone that this is Alvin Kamara of old, and you can trade him off of a decent week 1 performance, maybe
I would 100% do that.
Maybe entertain that.
I do think he's going to be more involved in the passing work, which he's usually pretty good at.
Right.
Because they'll be down, they're going to be passing
I
the ball.
don't think he's going to be terrible. I don't think Alvin Kamara is going to be terrible, but I think...
No, but when he catches that ball, Micah Parsons is going to be on his ass. Quicker than a... What is it? A June bug on a hound dog or something like that.
I'm on you like a tick on a hound dog.
Tick on a hound dog.
Yeah.
June bug. The fuck is that? All right.
All
right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my next bet the house guarantee of the week is J.K. Dobbins will eat versus the Carolina Panthers.